Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast.
There it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, every day of the podcast, we are doing this until the Chiefs are eliminated. Are you going to beat the Chiefs? Are you going to beat the Chiefs? Are you going to beat the Chiefs? That's what we're saying now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Sports Buffoons. My name's Tanner Dawson. Join with me, of course, is JG across the way. And, of course, we got remotely right now, Mr. Mike Settle. Guys, what's up? Happy to have you.
Hey, I'm like, what am I now? 12 days sober. It's a great day to be alive.
12 days sober, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm sober as hell, man.
Maybe over like 12 minutes sober.
Hey, that's what it's about, though, man. Hey, look, guys. Sports Buffoons here. We just got done talking about the Houston Texans last week. We talked about the matchup coming up here to play. And did you guys ever feel worried the entire game?
No,
I know I didn't.
It was like the last one against Houston. I never felt worried either. I mean, this game, I felt pretty good most of the way through, too.
The only thing I was worried about was one of these dipshits out here that told me to bet on DeAndre Hopkins over.
Hey, man, that guy's the awfulest right now.
Receiving yards. That was the only thing I was worried about.
I don't know why you even touched that. I told you not to, but you didn't believe
Hollywood Brown also, his over-under was like 42, and he had a zero burger as well. So
yeah, he had one target in the end zone after the opening drive. Legit, the opening drive.
No, I wasn't worried about that game at all, man. That game, that was a pretty shitty game. It was too easy.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are out here. It is championship conference week. We are back at it once again here, and we're excited for it. Quite frankly, to me, I think the better teams are in the right matchups. NFC side, we got Washington Commanders and Philadelphia Eagles. AFC side, we got none other than the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs going at it. And it should be a grand one at best here. Lots of referee reactions coming from the Texans game, because that's the only reason they won, because of the refs. And quite frankly, for the Bills, that's the only reason they're going to lose this game is the refs. So, but we'll discuss that here in a few. I want to get with you guys here because we got we got to get the preview out of the way. We're just going to get out of the way. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about it here. Do the Chiefs have a chance is the biggest question, the most. And quite frankly, what do the Chiefs need to do here going into this game? Mike, you know what? I'm going to let you start off, man. What do you think exactly we need to do it as Chiefs fans and players? What do we need to see to have this game be successful for us?
Well, of course, to start off, I mean, you asked if they have a chance. And to be fair, they are technically the favorite in this game at -1.5.
-2 today. -2 today.
-2. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, the thing is, at the end of the day, in this matchup, and this is the modern Patriots versus Colts playoff matchup that we saw for years on end between Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. And we all know who normally got the better end of that until one day Peyton Manning finally overcame the odds and finally got the beating over Tom Brady. But,
the GOAT.
But
Peyton Manning.
What I will say is that all the Chiefs got to do is what they've been doing at this point. The last 8 weeks, 0 turnovers committed at this point. The last 8 weeks, that ties an NFL record. So going into this game, once again, you got to limit opportunities for Josh Allen and their offense to have the ball. And then, of course, on the other end of things, allowing conversions of third downs in that last game is what killed the Chiefs in that game against the Bills earlier this season. The game that on the scoreboard, it looked like it was more of a beating than it actually was. The game was closer than what it actually looked like. But at the end of the day, it was the Chiefs allowing over 50% on third down conversion rate. And I think they're going to have to put some kind of a spy on Josh Allen on third downs, because otherwise you're just not going to stop him. And in that last game, on that rushing touchdown that clinched the victory for the Bills, they did not have anybody really spying Josh Allen. They let him go running right up the middle of the field for a long touchdown run. So For me, it's just going to be the defense making plays when they matter most, and the offense not turning the ball over again.
Hey, amen right there. Hey, Sports Buffoons here. We're talking about JG here, and we're going to get his reaction here. Healthy as the Chiefs have been. We have officially no Mecole Hardman is officially out, right? We ruled him out. He's on the IR. He's staying on the IR. He's officially out for the year. But outside of that, the Chiefs have healthiest as they've been since week 1. How much of an impact does that make it for the Buffalo Bills game this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, health is a huge factor. I mean, we saw the role that health played in the first go around in week 11, where you had some Bills players injured, but you also had some key Chiefs that were injured. And, we had some key guys like Jalen Watson that was not in that game, Hollywood Brown not in that game, Omenahue, obviously, which could be a big factor in this upcoming game, was not playing. So I think it's going to be a completely different game than people would expect. I think, the outcome could go a couple different ways, but you can't just say that, well, it's going to be a competitive game because of what happened last time. I'm certainly not buying that. And I think for you, Tanner, you're asking the wrong question. You said, do the Chiefs have a chance at the beginning of this show?
Do they have a chance?
You're asking the exact wrong question. The question is do the Bills have a chance to win this game? And so I'm going to give you guys a question, and I just want to know for you guys, because the best answer that I can find anywhere when somebody asks another person what the Bills need to do to win this game, or do the Bills have a chance, which is the more appropriate question, is, they'll just say they're due, and with my experience in gambling, you should never say that something is due, because the Chiefs have obviously owned them in the playoffs. The Bills can hold their own in the regular season, but in terms of gambling, you can't just say that something is due to happen. I mean, we all know that the Chiefs are not going to win 7 Super Bowls in a row. That's not going to happen. But in the near term, I think people, they can't give me a qualified reason as to why the Bills should have a chance to win this game, except for the fact that they're due. And so, question to you guys, the Bills can win if what happens?
Mahomes has 0 rushing attempts.
Zero rushing attempts.
That's my goal. What do you got, Mike?
I mean, it's a good question, because, to me, I look at the idea that, that one of their top receivers, Dalton Kincaid, did not play in that last game. And I think he's going to be a threat in this game, because the Chiefs do not cover tight ends very well.
No Keon Coleman either last game.
Yeah, right. No Keon Coleman either in the last game. But for me, I'm really focusing on the tight end situation in the middle of the field, because even in that game against the Texans, where it felt like the corners were doing a great job, it was still the middle of the field, right over the top of the linebackers and in between the safeties that was getting attacked. And I feel like if they can light us up in the middle with Dalton Kincaid and maybe even some Dawson Knox in there, then, at that point the Bills can win the game, because they're going to have ball control. So between that and then obviously forcing a turnover, as I said a few minutes ago, something the Chiefs have not done over the past 8 weeks. So this would either be the Chiefs setting a new all-time NFL record, doing 9 weeks in a row, or they're going to be the one to break that streak. And then obviously when you win the turnover battle, the victory favors in your hand.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would just add, for me personally, the answer to that question is, I think the Bills can win if James Cook is not contained in the running and the passing game.
Sure.
For me personally, like that's the only way they have a chance, because we know that they're going to do everything they can to contain Josh Allen. But for me, James Cook is the guy. He can be the X factor for the Bills. And if we don't contain him, then the Bills most certainly have a chance.
James Cook kind of got taken away here this last game against Baltimore, right? And I think that was a big piece of it. I think that was a big piece of why it ended up being a closer game in the end than what it should have been. Like, James Cook is a guy. Now, he usually opens up a receiving game against the Chiefs, just in the past in general, if you look at his player props and stuff. He usually has 3 or 4 receptions where it's really effective. So, in that standpoint here, like we talk about James Cook having a game, Mike.
Yep.
Isaiah Pacheco, he's the same guy that obliterates the Bills every freaking time. Are we talking about a Isaiah Pacheco return here? I mean, knowing Kareem Hunt's gonna, who's done most of the work, who's done, the short yardage gains, getting the end zone, the push, in the end kind of play, but like it's Isaiah Pacheco return, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, is it? Because so far after his injury, he's come back and we haven't seen consistency out of that guy. I mean, he had his first couple carries. We saw him have a nice, I think it was 25-yard run right out the gates.
Yeah.
But since that moment, I mean, it's like his vision's not there. He's not seeing the hole well. And, Kareem Hunt getting a little rest, having the extra time off and the bye week and all that helped him get his body rejuvenated. And he might not be the fastest guy in the field, but, he's not going to turn the ball over. And he's also, he can read the blocks. So he's going to get you the 4 and 5 yards when you need it. And to me, I'm looking at this roster right now going, okay, if we're kind of feeling iffy about Pacheco based on what we've seen the last few weeks, why not play more Samaje Perine? And because he's a guy we've seen, have some nice plays here and there in the run game and in the passing game. Last game against the Texans, he was not involved at all. So for me in this game, I would love to see more Perine. And of course, Kareem, I just, until Pacheco can break off a run for 10, 15 yards and show he's got that vision and burst again, and I'm not putting a lot of faith in him in this game.
That's fair. That's fair, man. Hey, that's a fair statement in that play too. But like, if you look at his player props too, against the Bills, he usually dominates against the Bills.
Sure.
And that's the best part of it, right? And that's kind of what we're looking at here. We got our guy Starsky out here. Starsky, appreciate you commenting in, but Bills can win if they win the turnover battle. JG, we're looking at you, man.
I'm not buying that.
Hey.
I'm not buying that at all because you've got two teams right now that really don't turn the ball over that much. I mean, I know historically we look at Josh Allen as a guy that likes to put the ball on the ground. He hasn't really done that as of late. And the Chiefs don't turn the ball over either. So I don't really look at this game as a turnover battle as much.
Okay, that's fair. Because, by the way, yesterday, Tuesday night, all right, so I'm on the Raccoon Sports Hub, and I give out my bets and predictions and stuff like that, like coming into play. And I got a call out from, a Just Girl for Life on the Sports Hub. And she mentioned that Josh Allen hasn't turned the ball over since week 16, 15, since New England game. And but she never mentioned Mahomes. And quite frankly, I had to go backwards and I'm like, well, time out here. Like, we're talking about like 3 weeks. Hey, let's go back and look at the last time Mahomes had an interception. Can you guys get hey, oh yeah, is that what it is? Jay-Z, do you know what day?
Probably, yeah.
It's the freaking Bills game. It is the freaking Bills game. Mahomes hasn't turned over the ball over since the Bills game, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about a guy that's been like, we were questioning going into the Bills game with turnovers, and since then hasn't turned the ball over. This is a major factor coming into this game here. Yes, you know what? I do anticipate a turnover in this game. Why? Because we're two competitive freaking teams in the AFC Conference Championships going into play.
Yeah.
I think it's
there has to be, right?
I think it's a useless argument because you're saying that if Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes haven't turned the ball turned it over in forever, then that means that they're due in much the same way that the Bills are due to finally win a playoff game against the Chiefs. I think it's an absolutely useless argument. Just because they haven't turned the ball over in forever doesn't mean that it's automatically going to happen right now. I think if those two quarterbacks have protected the ball as of late up to this point, I think they're going to continue to protect the ball. I don't think this is going to be a battle of turnovers at all.
I like that thought here. Mike, Chiefs, one target to Hollywood Brown in the end zone. One target to DeAndre Hopkins, out the third, fourth quarter, whatever it is, behind his back.
Yeah.
Outside of Xavier Worthy, we didn't have any targets to receivers. We had Noah Gray get 13 yards. We had Travis Kelce get his, 100 and whatever freaking yards. that we expected. But like, what are we expecting here with the Chiefs offense? Like, who's our target guys? Who are we looking at here from not just a betting perspective, but just from an overall Chiefs offensive perspective?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, we kind of expected going into the postseason to see a little more Hopkins and Brown get involved in the passing game right away.
Correct.
I think part of it has to do with the Texans' pass rush. Part of it with their corners, Derek Stingley being one of the best, and of course the pass rush for Houston was quick. I mean, he didn't have a lot of time to worry about getting the ball downfield. I mean, a lot of these plays Kelsey was making was stuff he was doing after the catch, like the young Kelsey was doing back in the day. But that doesn't mean it's going to continue the same way this week. I think without a doubt, at least one of those two guys has to be majorly involved in this game for it to go well on the Chiefs end. If Brown and Hopkins are both locked down like they were last week, the Bills are a lot better than the Texans. It's not going to end well for the Chiefs in that case. Hopkins has to beat his one-on-one situations and man coverage. And then Hollywood Brown, we were using him a lot on shallow crosses. I want to see more of that being used again. Obviously mixing him in there with Worthy on those shallow crosses. And, you can create some pick routes and rub routes that way, of course. And I just think that's the way to go with this type of receiving group. But I really hope that they can win one-on-ones, especially on third down. And getting Hopkins on the same page with Mahomes is going to be really important because it just seems like, they are just a little bit off even still to this point. So, I know they're going to key in on Travis Kelce in this game. So those guys on the outside got to play better.
It's got to be Hollywood Brown for me because he missed so much of the season. And if you're going to try to get somebody established before we potentially move into the Super Bowl, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has had plenty of receptions over the course of the year. He can have an impact in a Super Bowl. Hollywood Brown, on the other hand, we need some more looks. We need some more reps. We need some reps that are impactful in an AFC championship game. And so I think Hollywood Brown's the guy I'm going to be looking forward to get more involved in this particular game.
No, that's fair. Like, you're talking about a couple guys out here like looking to get the next step, right? Make that Super Bowl run. Like, we haven't seen D-Hop in a Super Bowl. We haven't seen Hollywood Brown in the Super Bowl, right? Yet. Like, that's the ultimate goal for these guys. And the fact that they were disappeared basically in the divisional playoff game this last week. It's massive. I think it's massive. I think it's massive for this offense that you got guys out there that you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the kind of offense this is going to run. And quite frankly, JG, like, let's look on the Bills side of thing here, right? That's something we got to be aware of. Like, Jalen Watson's back. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Watson's back because that defense looks so much better than what it did, right, Mike? Like, phenomenal, right?
We know how much of an improvement Watson is over Najee Johnson, and it's
extremely
huge improvement. So it's nice.
And you saw Najee start with the starters, and like it was a little rough at first for a minute there, but Jalen Watson got in there. Exactly what we want to see. But like Keon Coleman didn't play that first game. Amari Pooper has been the pooper. Like, we're talking Khalil Shakir, like, is their main weapon in the game. Curtis Samuel is a sneaky receiver in this game here.
And Milano wasn't in the first game as well.
Milano was in the first game. Like, we can go in the defense standpoint if we really want to go into it. Von Miller wasn't there necessarily there the whole entire game, I believe, in that standpoint too. But like JG, like, we're going the Bills side of things here. What threats are we aware of? Like, are we worried about Keon Coleman? Are we worried about Amari Pooper? Are we more worried about just contain Khalil Shakir and James Cook and we call it good? Or what are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the guy that could have a really good impact on this game is Jalen Watson. Just because you've got an extra corner out there that is a threat to shut down your overall offense. And we know the Bills like to operate in the middle of the field. So it could definitely be a big Trent McDuffie game. But okay. Nick Bolton is the guy for me that if you know that you're going up against a Buffalo offense that likes to operate in the middle of the field, Nick Bolton is the key factor in terms of the Chiefs defense. But with Buffalo, man, like, they got to do something different, man. Like, you can't just focus on the middle of the field. You got to throw some different some different looks out there in terms of their offense. And I think for me, like I said earlier, it's got to be James Cook and Josh Allen. It's got to be the James Cook and Josh Allen show, because I think the Chiefs are able to shut down the passing game overall.
That's the kind of answer I was looking for, right? Mike, here's kind of the final thoughts before we get into the predictions and standpoints of the Chiefs-Bills game coming to play. We got a couple guys out here like.
Who's your X factor? That's what I want to know.
Oh, you want to know X factor? Okay, you know what, Mike? We'll
for the
switch
Chiefs.
over.
For the Chiefs.
Before I ask my final question, let's go X factor. X factor for the Chiefs. Who you got?
Shoot, man, that is a tough one. I actually feel like I have one both on offense and defense for the Chiefs' sake. And my X factor is actually going to be Leo Chenal, and I just think it has a lot to do with his athleticism in a way that he is faster than Nick Bolton is. And he's also one of the top 5 run-stopping linebackers in the league. And that's dating even back to when he played at Wisconsin. And, when we're talking about James Cook and all this and Ray Davis and all of that, it's like, he's going to be the guy I think that's going to be getting his nose in there to at least create havoc in the backfield or create havoc at the line of scrimmage. That's going to be the guy to make those stops on that 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 situation. And then he might even be the guy that ends up having to spy Josh Allen as well. I mean, we all know his RAS score, back from the combine and everything. And, he's got the athleticism to be able to keep up with Allen if he needs to. But, Allen's a little sneaky, so it's not going to be easy. But to me, he's an X factor because if he makes an impact in a positive way, the Chiefs could come out and really lay it on him and make the plays early on. But also at the same time, if for some reason Leo fails in this game, then it could be a long day for the Chiefs defense. And then I guess I should say offensively as well. My X factor in this game is without a doubt going to be Samaje Perine, a guy who we didn't see much at all last week, who I think is going to be a big part of the offense in this week. Just the way he's going to be used out of the backfield in the receiving game. I think we see more of that offense that we saw a few weeks ago when everything was clicking again about a month ago, as a matter of fact. And he was a big part of that, as a matter of fact, coming out of the backfield. So Perine is going to be my guy. Maybe he can pull off some Jerick McKinnon moves for old time's sake.
I like that. GG, who's your X factors, man?
X factor for me in the whole game is going to be Charles Omenihu. Didn't have him in the first game in week 11. And it's one of those things where you've already got Chris Jones that you have to worry about if you're the Bills on offense. You got to worry about George Karlaftis. Omenihu gives you that third pass rusher that you have to worry about. And the name of this game is getting to the quarterback. That's all we care about when we're talking about defense. And I think Omenihu is a guy that could be my X factor in this game that the Bills are going to have to worry about.
I mean, if you look at my way here, Chamari Connor is the X factor. A guy that can go from hitting guys really hard up in the box to making interceptions, forcing turnovers, reading the quarterback. A guy who has almost what seems like at times full freedom in the defense to do whatever the hell he wants, right? And kind of what Justin Reed and Tyrann Mathieu that we've seen before of having that kind of a defensive impact. Chamari Connor's that guy for me. So honestly, for me, Chamari Connor's the guy in the end for the X factor. Because like I said, we've seen this guy do stuff in the past and make impacts. Like, here you go, baby. It's time to shine. It's time to go. Now, speaking of which, when I mentioned Chamari Connor and I talk about, Justin Reed, Nick Bolton, we're talking about some defensive guys here. We got offensive guys like Trey Smith coming into play. Mike, I want to know, man, as much as it hurts to say this right now, but like, who makes the biggest impact on their final days in Arrowhead? Because you can't keep every player, right? And we're going to, unfortunately, we're going to that territory where Nick Bolton has to sign a contract or figure out a deal. We could talk about Trey Smith, figure out a contract, sign a deal. Justin Reed. I mean, we could probably go down 3 or 4 other guys in this ranks. Like
Justin Reed's gone.
I think so too. I think so too. But like, Mike, what's your thoughts here, man? Whose final days in Arrowhead is to come to pass, and What do we expect of them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think you mentioned Kelsey there in that statement because
Kelsey's right in the mix, baby.
he's a guy.
I was thinking about him too.
Everyone's chatting right now about the potential of it being his last.
He was. It is potential. It really is.
Oh, he's washed. He's a podcaster now.
He's a podcaster.
He's more washed. He's more. You know what? The funny thing is he's more washed than LeBron, who was on his podcast.
I don't want to talk about this. I'm not talking about this shit right now.
Even Patrick Mahomes was asked about it in his interview this week about Kelsey potentially playing in his last game. And, Mahomes was like, well, if he's going to retire, then let's go win one for him. And if he's not going to retire, let's go win one anyway. So, it's kind of like, we'll see what the heck happens. But to me, if we're going to go off of Kelsey's word was he doesn't want to be a part of this team any longer when the day comes that he cannot perform in a matter where he's helping the roster, helping the team. And what we just saw last weekend, are you kidding me right now? No, Kelsey, you still got plenty. You could go another year if you want to. So I'm not banking on this being Kelsey's last game at Arrowhead or season. But I do think that, unfortunately.
All right, well, we lost track of him. So,
yeah, I mean, well, that's what it was getting to. I think when I was listening to Mike there, it just reminded me of how we can keep Kelsey around longer just by not letting him show up in the first 9 weeks of the season. Just give him a big break, and then he can show up when it really matters.
I think what Mike was saying was Kelsey's going to pop off with 2 TDs, 180 yards.
No, he probably will, but that's how you can do that is if you just save him during the regular season. Dude, we talked about this in the preseason.
We did.
Or in the week 1, week 2, week 3. Where the hell is Kelsey? 5? I told you guys, it's just all it is like the NBA version of, management, body management, injury management, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. All right, Mike, we lost you here when you were getting ready to put your result out there. What did you exactly say here as you were expecting with Travis Kelsey?
Oh, well, no, I think I was saying that Kelsey, I do believe, is going to have at least one more year with the team. As he's talked about, as far as, he doesn't want to be with the roster anymore if the day comes where he's no longer productive for the team. Clearly, he still is when it matters. But what I will say, I think we're going to be saying goodbye to one of the two between Trey Smith and Nick Bolton. So it's hard to decide between those two, but I'm going to lean towards Nick Bolton being the guy, the odd man out, and the Chiefs trying to hold on and retain Trey Smith. I think it's going to be hard to get Trey and him to divorce. Those two seem like a couple, in my opinion, to this point.
I think from a standpoint, if we were to say, hey, salute you, buddy, like going to play, like Justin Reed and Nick Bolton would be the two guys. Trey Smith, in my mind, like we fought so hard, Mike, it was so hard after the 2020 Super Bowl with Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They're not letting.
Get a guy like Trey Smith.
They are not letting Trey Smith go.
We are not letting him walk. Like I can't imagine that we let Trey Smith walk with the way we drafted him. Like we possibly could. We might have confidence, like what coming up in the draft coming this way, and Veach we trust, right? But I have a high concern of letting a guy like that, like one of the best offensive guards. By the way, that won the Pat McAfee Guards Award, the overall Guards Award, with none other than Shipley being the guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's Trey Smith. Trey Smith is going to be here long term. Nick Bolton is going to get a deal 4 for $60, which is like what, 15? He's going to make $15 million a year somewhere else. It's not going to be here. He's worth too much money for us to be able to keep him.
I agree. I think Nick Bolton's going to have a little bit more deal. I think Justin Reed's going to go for more of a Tyrann Mathieu kind of style deal. And like Justin Reed, by the way, we can't say he's been a bad Chief. He's been phenomenal.
Oh, he's amazing, but he's replaceable. You can go get out another guy.
You're the older version into play, and like unfortunately for you,
and we have plenty of safeties. We got guys that can play safety.
We got Hicks. Out here ready to be a star. I honestly think. I think we got Chamari Connor. We talk about all the time. Like I think we got some guys out there, young guys We don't have to worry about exactly for that standpoint, but like Justin Reed, like from a Chiefs standpoint kind of thing here. And Mike has returned.
Back.
Mike,
He's
Mike,
back.
like we're talking about like a little bit of Justin Reed, Hicks, and Connor. Like if we're going to the next season, like with Hicks or Connor instead of Justin Reed, like we're not hitting against it, but we're also not hitting against Reed by any means, right?
No, I mean Justin Reed's 30 years old at this point.
So phenomenal Chief, right? Like, phenomenal Chief.
Of course, great teammate. I mean, the guy's been a great Chief. I mean, there's nothing bad you could say about him as a person or anything. I mean, the guy has been awesome to have here in town. Is he a superstar safety? Is he like what Eric Berry?
Tyrann Mathieu style.
No, like,
this is legit. Or Tyrann Mathieu replacement.
Yeah, that's exactly who I was. That's exactly who I was thinking about.
And Mike's out again, so he'll return when he can. Yeah. But that's what a replacement was. Like it was just trying to get some veteran presence. But I don't think you need that at this point. I think now we're looking more towards the linebacker issue. We're looking more towards the defensive line issue.
But again, linebackers, safeties, those are two positions that are easily replaceable. And that's why you get rid of guys like Justin Reed and Nick Bolton.
Okay. So let me.
We will do everything we can to keep Nick Bolton. I personally don't think it's going to happen.
Let me run it past you here, right? Meekles already tried to go to a different team, right? And the Jets.
Well,
what happened there? What happened there?
That's a bad example.
And he came back, right? And then we talked about like guys like Tyreek Hill, who's gone to the Dolphins, who had the most accurate quarterback in the world. Yes, that's sarcastic, for God's sakes. But your quarterback for the Dolphins,
Steve
DeBerg, baby. Yeah, exactly. I'm for it. You know what? I'm for it at this point here. But like we talk about like Hill trying to move on. We talk about Tyrann Mathieu trying to move on. We talk about Willie Gay trying to move on. Passanio, Colin Saunders. Who do they all end up referencing in the end? Casey.
Sure.
Are you telling me like a potential chance? I don't know what Nick Bolton's situation is. I don't know exactly where the fucking guy came from. His raise up is everything, whatever it is. Like if it's money that he's ultimately offering, you know what? I'm for it, man. I got a jersey of Nick Bolton right now in my closet, and I will be full support if this guy goes somewhere else and gets a bunch of money. At the same time, are you going for championships? Because this is where championships go.
And I agree with you, and I'm glad you brought up the fact that Kansas City is the blueprint right now. You want to know why they're the blueprint? Is because when we let Tyreek Hill go, what did they say about Mahomes? Oh, he's going to suck. He doesn't have anybody to throw
to. What happened?
You want to know something interesting? Guess who followed that blueprint? The Buffalo Bills. Because they said, oh, the Buffalo Bills aren't going to be shit when they get rid of Stephon Diggs. Same exact thing. And what did Josh Allen do? He got better. Want to know why Josh Allen got better? Is because he has more options to throw to. You don't have all this pressure. Josh Allen always had this pressure to buy Stephon Diggs and say, oh, you need to give me the ball. And that's one of the reasons why Josh Allen had issues with turnovers, is because he couldn't just play the game naturally. He had to figure out a way to force the ball to Stephon Diggs. And now that Diggs is gone, he actually became a better player in the exact same way that Mahomes got better when Tyreek Hill was gone. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another reason why the Bills are going to be a little bit bigger threat than they have been in years past. The other thing I wanted to throw out, if you want to talk about free agency or whatever a little bit later, that's fine. But one other thing to watch, guys, in this game, I want you to watch the Bills' third down defense versus the Chiefs' third down offense, because the Bills, although they've been pretty effective defensively, not as much on third down. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have been excelling this year in their third down offense. And so that's kind of one of these things. I don't want you to bet on it. I don't want you to bet on the game based on this, but I'm just letting you know that the Bills' third down defense is a little bit shaky here. Chiefs' third down offense is a little bit better. And if you're the Bills defense, the goal here is to get your defense off of the field. Because if you can get your defense off the field, that means Josh Allen is going to be back on the field, which is what you want. If you can't get the Bills defense off the field, that means Patrick Mahomes is going to be on the field that much longer, and that's going to be a problem for the Bills. So just a little bit of thing that you might want to watch during this game.
I don't mind at all. All right, let's go predictions here. We going to play here. Buffalo KC. We got -2 as the favorite for KC right now. We got the over under 47.5. First half bets -0.5 point for KC in the over under 23.5.
You doing easy money?
No, just prediction.
Just prediction. Okay.
Just prediction. What's our final score here against Buffalo KC here? Who's we going to play?
I mean, I've got to roll with my narrative that I've been telling you guys the whole year, which is that the Houston Texans and the AFC are the biggest threat to the Chiefs. And the only thing that I need to support my narrative and tell all of you mother effers out there that you were wrong about the AFC is a 28-17 Chiefs victory. And that's what I'm predicting right now. I've got the Chiefs by 11. Final score 28-17.
I don't mind that at all. Here. My count here has the Chiefs 27-24 in the score. So
okay. A lot of people have a close game. I have nothing against that. Yeah.
I think it's a big close game. Look, personally for me, guys, Mike talked about it last week, thinking it was the first 30-point game we're going to see from the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the game. 32-28. Kansas City Chiefs win this game. Coming to play on the conference championship. So,
by the way, I've already told you this. I haven't told our audience. I recreated this game on Tecmo Super Bowl the other day. And it's like the Buffalo Bills are out there with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas. Chiefs had Christian Okoye and Barry Word and Steve DeBerg. The final score of that game was 44-14. And we had Chiefs had a lot of sacks in that game. They actually had a safety. So not that that's related to real life, but I did want to see what would happen on Tecmo Super Bowl if I played out that scenario.
It's fair enough. Let's talk about that here on the other side of things, right? We got the Commanders, Detroit that played. We got Philadelphia and Los Angeles Rams. And we had a big snow game in the first half, or in the first game, right, with the Rams and Eagles. Two to three costly turnovers, two mainly that hurt the Rams completely here. And we're going to play here like with the Rams and Philadelphia. Philadelphia couldn't move the ball much, but they moved it enough. Saquon Barkley, fucking phenomenal guy. Kyron Williams ended up fumbling late. Puka Nacua couldn't catch a ball. Cooper Kupp couldn't catch a ball. Tyler Higbee couldn't catch a ball in the snow. Like in the end, it came down to actually a final drive by the Los Angeles Rams and like kind of what we wanted to see from a NFL playoff game in the snow. And it's just the unfortunates of be much cute in bad weather or not. But what's your thoughts here on that game between the two Philadelphia and Los Angeles Rams?
Yeah, not a whole lot there. I mean, obviously, we're going to be looking forward to this NFC championship between Philadelphia and Washington. But I was happy to see that, the Rams put up a fight. They were a really good team this year, a lot better than people thought they would be. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, they have, I believe, a couple of years left on both of their contracts. And so they're going to be around for a while. I was really pulling for them to beat the Eagles. But, Matthew Stafford, I mean, yeah, those guys have a couple of years left, and they're going to be a threat moving forward.
I think so, too.
I don't think a lot of people thought that, well, the Rams were just a fluke this year, but no, I think they're going to be back next year for sure as a legitimate threat in the NFC.
So Philadelphia moves on there with that win there. And then we got the Commanders Detroit game, and wow, just Wow. Coming into play, right?
We saw it coming. I mean, I saw this coming from a mile away, except for the fact that, oh, yeah, by the way, I still bet on Detroit to win because their offense was so potent, but it reminds me a lot, as does a lot of other things in my life, about the NBA. A lot of these, when you have this really potent offense, we've seen it in the NBA as well, and even even in baseball, when you have an extremely potent offense and it goes cold, all of a sudden you're done. Especially in the case of the Lions, when you had 13 defensive players on IR, you can't stop anybody. So literally, you're just depending on that potent offense, and when it doesn't show up, and or if Jared Goff gets injured or banged up in the game, you're done because you can't stop anybody. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously everybody in the world picked the Lions to win, but shout out to Jaden Daniels for getting it done over there. I thought it was a fantastic performance by Jaden Daniels.
That's fair, man. Hey, we talk about Goff and his turnovers, and we had we had a Jameson Williams throw the ball for some freaking reason in the end, and ended up costing the Lions even more in that spread, trying to come back here. So, look, hey, you know what? Daniels did what he had to do. Don't turn the ball over, extend the drives, keep Goff off the field. And even when Goff was on the field, it wasn't a threat because he couldn't help but turn the ball over. He couldn't help but throw the long ball into the. I mean, I don't know. Just the overall decisions made within the offense here was ridiculous here. And if we're investigating the Chiefs in the Week 18, which you dumb fucks are probably at that point, so like go and get Ben Johnson. Go and get Ben Johnson in that standpoint here too, if you're gonna do that stuff. So, but like it's just amazing to me. Montgomery was back, Gibbs was back. Gibbs had a fabulous game. Montgomery did nothing. But at the same standpoint, you still couldn't do nothing here within an offense that had multiple weapons, be able to run their game, and they pretty much pulled what we would call a Baltimore Ravens kind of style game, right? So moving to the fact here, we got Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills. We had it on Sunday night. Man,
who cares?
Baltimore.
Who cares? I told you fucking guys that they were going to lose, and you're like, oh, no.
No.
They got the better roster. You want to know how many times I've heard that argument in all sports? All sports. These people try to tell me, well, you got to look at who's got the better roster. I don't give a shit. You know why? Because Lamar has different stats in the postseason than he does in the regular season. That's why he wins the MVP every freaking year, because he's an amazing. Ooh, who does that remind me of? That I used to say amazing regular season quarterback. Who does that remind you of, Tanner? Oh, yeah. The guy that was not quite as good as Tom Brady back in the day. Oh, yeah. Peyton Manning. That's what Lamar Jackson is. Two completely different skill sets. Same result. Oh, what do you know about that? What do you know about that? It's just like I saw that shit coming from a mile away. And you people that think that, oh, Josh Allen, oh, he's due to be Patrick Mahomes. Dude, just look at
Patrick Mahomes.
Look at what the fuck. Look at what the fuck their history is. What's the history of Lamar Jackson? Complete horse shit in the playoffs and the best player you've ever seen in the regular season. What's the history of Josh Allen? Destroys Mahomes and the Chiefs in the regular season, and then just barely loses in the postseason. So I like to look at the history of these guys, but in terms of the Baltimore game, I mean, I'm happy. I mean, as a Chiefs fan, I wanted no part. I told you guys this a long time ago. I want no part of the Ravens in the postseason because they had a revenge game on the books for the Chiefs. And I firmly believe that we would have lost to them in the playoffs. Luckily for us, we don't have to face them because they beat our ass that first game. I don't care if the dude's toe was barely on the line. The Ravens won that game against the Chiefs, and this was going to be a revenge game. And I'm so happy that we do not have to face them. And that's why I think the Chiefs got the easier of the two matchups. I'm not saying Buffalo's not a threat, Of course they're a threat. We could
I
easily
think that too,
lose
yeah.
that game. I'm just telling you, Baltimore was a bigger threat to the Chiefs than the Bills are.
Correct. No, I think that's well, right? I think Baltimore is more of a easier. Baltimore is more of a threat than the Buffalo Bills coming to play too. But like you had Derrick Henry, less than 19 and a half freaking carries. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what do we discuss every year with the Baltimore Ravens? Play your effing game. And guess what they did last year against the Chiefs? What did they do last year against the Chiefs? They didn't play their freaking game. They passed more. They passed more than the last 8 games they ever did.
Well, the Chiefs freak people out in terms of
do.
game
They
planning
do.
because you automatically, when you're playing against the Chiefs, you automatically go into the game thinking, well, let's see, we have to go for it on 4th down, no matter what. We have to throw the ball more.
Keep Mahomes off the field.
Yeah, and they just
Right.
abandon their entire game planning of what got them there during the regular season. And so I just feel like the Chiefs, people like to overplan. I think these coordinators like to overplan for the Chiefs. They like to overthink these things, and I think you just got to go with your gut instinct, and you got to play your game.
As much as this one hurts me deeply, but as much as I hate giving credit to the Bills, you're right. It's let the Chiefs overthink themselves. Let the Chiefs overthink what they need to do. Let the Chiefs overthink exactly what play they freaking need to do.
The problem with that is that's what the Chiefs are good at, is overthinking.
But no.
Because you got
it's not.
You
It's
got
not.
extra weeks to plan for a game.
It's not. AKA, like, what do we do towards the end of the half, man? Like, exactly what it had to be. So that Chiefs, if they overthink the spot, that's where it gets in trouble. So, but like the whole game standpoint in the end, guys, Mike Andrews is not to blame. Lamar Jackson's more blamed. Like, that was 2 horrible turnovers you ended up giving to the guys, and couldn't stop anything after that. So it's not a Mark Andrews deal. It's a Lamar Jackson deal. So, but as we get into it, guys, we're doing some predictions here, and we're gonna talk about it here. I got Mike's predictions right here. Despite him logging off early here, he thinks it's Chiefs 27-24 going into this game here. Personally, for B, I got it in the 30s, so we'll go 33-28 in the matter. Possibly overtime coming into play there on that one. I think it's been a close game. I really do. I really think that this game particularly is going to be a very, very, very close game as we go into play. NFC Championship. It's AFC, buddy. I don't know what this guy's doing out here, but like I think Mahomes is gonna have a good game. I think Mahomes will have a good game. I think Josh Allen will have a pretty good game combined. I think we're looking at more of a standpoint coming to things too. But that's my prediction here. What's your prediction here on the final score, JG?
For Bills?
For the Bills Chiefs.
I already told you, dude. Are you hammered or what?
What'd you say?
You're a little drunk. I said 28-17.
All right, nah.
Because it fits my narrative. No, you agreed with me the last time. What the hell's wrong with you?
It's fine. It's fine.
You liked it the last time I said it.
What do you got on the other side of things here? We got Commanders, Eagles coming into play before the Chiefs and Bills. What do you think on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, this reminds me a little bit of when RG3 first burst onto the scene. And he was the shiny new toy on the Washington back then. What were they called back then, Tanner? Were they called the Skins? Can I just call them the Skins? I think they should.
Skins, maybe.
You should just say the Skins.
It's the Redskins.
I think that's a legal term for them.
It is now.
But
so.
It reminds me of RG3 when he burst on the scene and he got a playoff win.
Yep.
And they just looked at this guy. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's unstoppable. I think the same thing with Jaden Daniels this year. And the reason why I think that is that he's just going to have his hands full. Jaden Daniels is going to have his hands full against this Philadelphia defense. And I also think that the Washington defense is not going to be able to stop all of the weapons on the Eagles. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert. They just have too many weapons to stop, and I don't think Washington's going to be able to get it done. However, on the flip side of that, I want to know how fucked up Jalen Hurts' knee is, because if it's extremely fucked up, this is why I don't want you guys.
Fine. Don't
This
worry about it.
no, I don't want you guys to bet on this game. Okay, do not bet on this game because his knee got tweaked, in that last game, and I have no idea. It could be his pain might be a 2 out of 10, or it might be a 8 out of 10. We're gonna find out more tomorrow. He was limited today in practice, but I think it was a walkthrough, so you can't really determine anything from that. But just keep your eye on that knee injury from Jalen Hurts, because he did get banged up a little. And if Jalen Hurts is not healthy, I don't really care how good the defense is on Philly. And I don't care how many weapons they have. And I don't care how good Saquon Barkley is. They're going to lose that game if Jalen Hurts is not at least 80 to 85%. So, if he's okay, then great. Give me the Eagles all day long. Washington has no chance. But if that knee is fucked up, Philly's going down, and we're going to see Chiefs versus the Skins in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl.
Look. If you're talking about like what if injuries here with Jalen Hurts,
What do you mean? What if?
What if? Right?
He tweaked his knee in that game.
That's fine. It's fine. I get what you're saying here. Like Jalen Hurts, if he can play, he's gonna play. Like it's plain and simple. If he can walk, he's gonna play at this point. So I honestly think Philadelphia ended up winning this game by a blowout, and I don't think it's much of a game. But at the same time, like if we see Tanner McKee come in, well then yeah, we're talking about Philadelphia blowing out by 4 touchdowns instead of 3. So,
I will say this. I mean,
that's what I'm talking about, like right now.
If you believe in the Eagles right now, get in right
time.
now, because it's only a 6-point margin. If we find out tomorrow that Jalen Hurts is perfectly fine, then this game could be a blowout, and you might want to go.
No.
You might want to bet on the other way.
Then we switch to the other way. This is closer than it should be. But if we're talking about like Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett coming in, oh man, we're talking about a blowout in that standpoint.
You're talking about on the Skins,
because
side
people
with
actually
Kenny.
pass to Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, unlike Jalen Hurts.
So Kenny Pickett, who do you think's going to win?
I want Tanner McKee in there more than anything.
Who's going to win if Kenny Pickett gets
Kenny
inserted?
Pickett?
Yeah, who's going to win the game?
Philadelphia will win. So
what?
I want Tanner McKee in more than anything.
Oh,
but
my God.
But like Kenny Pickett's in there, yeah. Philadelphia will win.
gosh.
So no, give me Philly, guys. Give me Philly by a big margin here. I think they cover the 6, and we go from there. So, but I didn't anticipate that. All right.
Is it NBA time finally?
Nope.
Let's
Not
talk
yet.
some NBA, damn it.
Well, I guess we can.
No, you can't.
We
Just
could. We could.
do what you want to do. Where were you going?
Well,
I want to know where you were going.
Hey, you know what?
You are the fearless leader of this fucking team. I want to know where you were going to go before I talk about NBA bullshit.
That sounds like the most dangerous thing I've ever heard in my life. But we'll I've heard that multiple times already this week, so we're gonna get at it, guys. So let's talk about it here before we get into the easy money bets. Okay, which I got mics for you guys. We'll get into, and I only have a couple. JG only has one, I'm sure. So we'll get into it here. But let's talk about it here. There's a big drama situation going on right now. And I want to know exactly where the hell the blame goes. You know, we're talking about Miami Heat right now for the NBA style. Yeah, Jimmy B out here like getting suspended multiple times now, like officially multiple times, which is hurting the hell out of my fantasy team. And I'm pissed about it. I'm also hurting the hell out of my freaking sports betting that I'm doing with Jimmy B. But at the same time, guys, we got guys out here favoring it and like hoping for a better destination in the end. And by the way, we're almost in February. Like we're talking like we're already past like possible playoff time coming up here soon. Like destinations, aka like where were you standing at, what you need to do. But JG, give me the breakdown, man. Like Jimmy B, like yay, nay. What the hell are we thinking here with this guy?
So Jimmy Butler, a guy that I like to call Himmy because he is him, an amazing player, 35 years old. He's entering the back end of his prime, we'll say. He's played 5.5 seasons in Miami, which when I saw that, it kind of blew me away because he didn't last long in Minnesota, didn't last long on the Sixers, but then he finally found his home on the Miami Heat, and he's been productive basically the entire time, playing 5.5 seasons there. Hard to believe. But so he's already been suspended once, and he missed a flight. He missed a team flight. And so the Heat have come out and said that he's going to be suspended for 2 additional games. So this is a big fucking mess. I mean, I'm sure you guys have already heard about this. He's demanded a trade, and obviously Pat Riley, with his ego, anytime you have an ego as a player, you're going to run into problems when you run into a president of basketball operations like Pat Riley with an even bigger ego. They've got some issues over there. And so Jimmy Buckets wants out. Last month, Jimmy Butler came out and stated that he would like to be traded to one of 4 teams. He listed the Suns, Mavericks, Rockets, and Warriors. And I think for me, it's pretty obvious that it's not as much that he really hates the Heat organization as much as it is he just wants to be traded to a contender. I mean, obviously, when you get to age 35 in the NBA, you're in the twilight of your career, especially if you're in your prime, and you want to get a championship. This is what a lot of guys like Charles Barkley back in the day and Karl Malone, they were not able to do it. And so Jimmy Butler, I think that's his biggest motive right now, is he just wants to go somewhere where he can win a championship. And I think that's the reason why the Suns and the Mavericks were probably number 1 and number 2 on his list. Suns came out, I believe it was just yesterday, they traded away their unprotected first-round pick, and what they got in return was 3 lesser first-round picks. And I think the reason for the Suns doing that is that they just want to have a little bit more flexibility, because they know if they're going to make a play for Jimmy Butler, that's not going to be a 2-team deal. They're going to require at least 3, maybe even 4 teams to be able to get this done. And so the Suns obviously want Jimmy. They've been going all in for I don't know how many years. They're going to try to go all in again with very few assets. It's just a very messed up situation. I think that when you look at a guy like Pat Riley on the Heat side, he's an employee, right? He can't just go out and do whatever he wants. He has to answer to ownership. But I'm telling you right now, as much as I think that Pat Riley is going to do what's best for the team, I think that Pat Riley is a guy that would make Jimmy Butler just play out his contract. I don't think that Pat Riley cares about assets right now. I think that concern is all coming down from ownership right now, as we know that Jimmy Butler didn't just have a conversation with Pat Riley, also had a conversation with ownership. But Pat Riley is a guy, he's the godfather, man. And I think I can see a scenario that if Pat Riley was legit in charge, he would just force Jimmy Butler to play out that contract. And if Jimmy didn't want to play, just send him home or let him ride the bench. But
bunch of fines, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, but I think ultimately the deal gets done. I'm not going to tell you that it happens with the Suns.
Hey, man, we made a big trade, though.
I think
we made a big trade.
It's possible, but you got to have the most important thing that can happen right now is Brad Beal has to waive his no trade clause.
Well, he was inactive the last 2 games.
Because what else are you going to do? They're not going to trade Kevin Durant for Jimmy Butler. That doesn't make any sense. So Beal has to waive that no trade clause.
But like you're talking about, like you traded. Oh God, I can't remember who the hell it was, but like you got 3 first-round picks in return.
Yeah, 3 first-round picks for the unprotected.
Unprotected 31
and
picks.
This is very unusual because no players were involved. This was a trade that only involved picks.
Correct.
And that's it. You don't generally see that. I think ultimately the deal gets done because Jimmy obviously didn't want to be there. I think that the Heat wanted him to stay. But it's a deal that's got to get done. And I can't, I would say if I have to make a prediction, it's going to be either the Suns or the Mavericks, but I don't know. See, at least the Mavericks have some assets, whereas Phoenix Suns don't have shit for assets.
Well, that's what it traded for. So,
honestly, like it's got to get done though. If it doesn't get done by the trade deadline in February, I think it's like February 6th or 7th. Oh man,
we're approaching that quick.
You want to talk about getting ugly, and if they somehow retain him, because Pat Riley said from the get-go, we're not going to trade him.
Yeah.
It's going to get done. It's going to get done, because if it doesn't, man, if you think you've seen some ugly contract situations in the past, this will get extremely ugly. And I don't think that Miami Heat ownership is not going to let it get to that point.
I don't think so either. But like from the standpoint too, like he got suspended already for this week here for 2 games, and like he was fully anticipated showing up on time, like when it game time on time, but like he didn't want to participate in the team playing.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I saw. And like if we're talking about a guy like that's just gonna show up when he needs to, like sure, you may not anticipate much winning in that standpoint, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's a bad thing.
And the funny thing about it is, too, is like, right? That people think that, well, Jimmy Butler, he's 35 years old. He doesn't have much leverage in this negotiation. I'm going to tell you right now, he has all of the leverage. You know why? Because he's got a player option next year for $52 million. Do you not think that he would love to just screw the Heat over right now by opting in to that contract and playing shitty the whole fucking year? Could you imagine something like that? So he's got all the leverage, and that's why I think a deal is going to get done. I'd rather see him go to the Mavericks, but I mean, just get him to a freaking contender, man. The guy deserves. At age 35,
he does.
he deserves it, dude. And I know everybody said like back in the day, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, those guys deserved a championship. Jimmy Butler deserves a championship.
What's the Heat stopping from giving him a contract that he wants?
I think Jimmy Butler would be looking for, we used to complain about how Chris Paul, CP3 used to get all these deals, and we're like, well, why are they giving Chris Paul so much money? He's so old. Well, that's kind of the point that Jimmy Butler is getting ready to enter in his career. Like you're not going to pay a guy when he's 35 years old. So he's looking for
Kirk Cousins' contract.
I mean, Jimmy Butler's looking for a 4-year deal, no doubt. He's looking for a 4-year max deal. And everybody knows he's not worth that. But when you have teams like Phoenix, who is desperate,
though? Like when we get Jimmy,
I would pay him. I'd pay him because I don't care about the 4 years. I only care about the first 2. So if you're talking to me, if I was a GM, absolutely. And that's why the Suns want him so bad. But you've got to be one of these teams like the Suns or the Mavericks. You look at the Mavericks. Kyrie Irving is no spring chicken. If they're going to win, they got to do it now. I understand that Luka Doncic is going to be around forever, but right now you've got Luka, you got Kyrie, so it may be the time to go all in if you're the Dallas Mavericks right now. So if I'm a GM in the NBA, absolutely I'm going to give him a 4-year deal. I'll give him whatever he wants, but it's got to be the right situation. And unfortunately for Jimmy Butler, those situations are limited right now to those two teams, I believe. And honestly, like I don't think the Mavericks have shown nearly as much interest up to this point as the Phoenix.
I think they
as
should
the
have.
Suns.
I think they should have. Yeah.
Maybe they should have, but maybe they just, I mean, Luka's injured. He's been injured
That's what
this
I'm
year,
saying,
so
yeah,
maybe they're just kind of
But
taking their foot off.
he's been due to back here in the last few games, and he's starting to come back. So.
But I mean, if you've had a situation where Luka's been injured this year, you can afford to take your foot off the gas. If you're the Phoenix Suns, you're going full throttle. Because what's Devin Booker? Is he like 29 right now?
29. You got Beal that can't score with Jack. He's already inactive for the.
I mean, if you're the Suns, you already don't have picks for the future.
Durant's been a bum too on its play props. So
Phoenix, that is the market right now. It is legit the Phoenix Suns, and that's it. So
and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
I hope they can get it done, but if for some reason they can't, man, I'm telling you, this thing is going to get ugly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do it here. We're going to do our, it's time for
easy money.
Our favorite segment of the show as we get into play here. We'll get a recap from last week here, right? So we reset here, right? Coming from a regular season game, soon to playoffs. Despite that, it's probably playoffs more than anything, but we'll get into it here. So, JG, Washington.
Did I lose again?
You lost again.
Hey, what did I tell you guys real quick, Tanner, before you go? I laid it out for you guys so hardcore. I was just like, if you are looking to fade the JG, that what you should do, you should bet opposite of everything I say.
It wasn't far.
In terms of the NFL, just to be fair, these are all NFL games. And I told you if you would just fade the JG, I mean, you could have bet $1 million on that last game and you would have faded me. You'd be shit rich right now, which would be amazing. I hope you guys do that one of these days. But
over 55.5 for the Washington.
Got pretty ugly there.
Washington.
We went under.
Lions game.
We went under.
And that sucker ended up just barely under. And that's just what the theme is, man. That's what the theme is here. So he had the loss there. Mike went 101. He had the Noah Gray over 11.5 yard receiving yards. He had 13. But he had the Chiefs Houston total of over 41.5 total points, and that was under. So Mike was 101. Myself, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the week, 3-1. That's exactly how we do it, guys. This is exactly why you should listen to me right now. I realized what I did last year. This is not what the same me last year. And I'm continuing to push this narrative forward. So we went 3-1, ladies and gentlemen. Our loss was Nico, 6.5 receptions. He had 5. Okay. Bateman, receiving yards of 41.5. He went over. He had 66. Cooper Kupp, over 4.5 receptions. He had 5. Yeah, 5. And the total of the Notre Dame Ohio State score of the first quarter over under at 10 points finished at 7. We got a 3-1 record here going to play as we enter the divisional championships of the NFL, as we are past the college football ranks going to play here. Hey, 3-1.
Are you on the heater?
We're on the fucking heater, baby.
Tanner is on the heater, man. Which is the exact opposite of what he did last year. Last year, it got ugly, man.
By the way, I'm grabbing this mic here for a reason, okay? I don't know if you guys follow me, okay? On the Locking In Sports podcast.
Follow him on the X. Can he follow you on the X?
At 10-12489. You're going to follow me right now because you're on it. So, but if
you're on the heater, bro.
Hey, yeah. If you follow me at the Recommend Sports Hub, and you're talking with the guys tonight, aka Alan Perales, Scott Coben, myself, on that stuff. Sunday morning, we talked about multiple, player props and stuff like that. Man, we're gonna play. the Philadelphia Los Angeles Rams game, we each gave 3 picks. JG, I want you to guess how many we missed.
0.
We missed one. One bet. I'm telling you what.
You guys are professionals, aren't you?
Hey, we're talking about profitable. We ain't lying when we discuss the stuff here. And quite frankly, this weekend here, if you follow me on the Record Sports Hub, on the Lock It In Sports podcast, we're gonna have the graphics for you. I'll post them up for you. You can actually see what we're seeing today and exactly why we're going this certain direction.
Tell them what your handle is on the X so they can follow you.
Hey, it's at tan12489. 12489. You'll follow me here. You guys can find me here. Hey, if you're following me right now, make sure you hit that follow button because we'll be live right there on X, baby.
Yeah, man. When you got a guy, when you got a guy that's on the heater like that, man, you got to get rich with him.
Hey,
get rich.
That's what we're about, baby. It's profitable Sunday. We're going profitable Sunday as well. We got a profitable Saturday, but hey, let's get into it here. We got easy money bets here on the Buffoons here on a Wednesday night. GG, I'll let you kick it off as always.
I'm trying to get you guys rich, which is, we've kind of done that on this show. We did have a winning record this year, but me personally, I got to get back on the wagon here. So I'm going to do you guys a favor. I'm not going to give you an easy money in the NFL because if I did, I'd be asking you to fade myself because it's been so shitty. So we're going to switch to the NBA, and hopefully that's going to work a little bit better because Tanner's been on the heater. I've been on the cooler. So we're going to get off the NFL right now. So I'm going to look at tomorrow's game, Miami Heat at the Bucks. I just told you what a shit show the Miami Heat are right now. What's going on with Jimmy Butler is a complete distraction in that locker room. They will tell you that it's not, but we all know how that works. The dude's going to get suspended again. So Bucks are -5 right now at home. Bucks are not quite as good as we thought they'd be this year, but they are the 4 seed, and they're going to be battling in the Eastern Conference to try to move up that ladder in terms of the standings. And so I'm going to take the Milwaukee Bucks -5 in this game. They're playing against the Heat, who we just told you is a complete shit show. I think this game has blowout potential. So give me the Bucks -5, Tanner.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We got Bucks -5 here for our first NBA bet of the easy money season. And we got a lot more to come for that, by the way. I don't know if you anticipated that at all. So, but yeah, we chop into Mike's here. He has Philly and Commanders over 47.5. 47.5. Take that as you may, ladies and gentlemen. Mike has not been well on the under, but he is 2-3 on the over for total points. So take that as you may. This is how we go about it. Myself, guys, I got a lot more bets out there for this here, but I got to pick. I'm just gonna pick 2 here for you today here. Okay, we're gonna go Saquon over anytime touchdown. He scored 2 the first matchup against Washington. He scored 2 the next time against Washington. And this guy's on fire. Give me the Washington. Or give me Saquon anytime touchdown Washington. There's no reason why he doesn't score at least 1 here coming to play. So we're going that one here. And Amari Cooper under 16.5 receiving yards. A dud. A complete dud. What we call Mike, washed up, pooper, liquid, whatever you want to call it. Like, this is where it's at. Amari Cooper under 16.5 receiving yards. This guy doesn't get barely a target involved. He doesn't get involved at all. Like, anything can be pretty. If he gets a yardage, maybe 10 yards at most.
Pretty sure we're the only show that disrespects his last name.
Amari Cooper Under 69 receiving yards is what we're going at. And that's 2 bets. That's right. Only 2 bets from me. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. I went 3-1 last week. We're going to go 2-0 this week. This is how it goes. So, what did he say? My phone got drunk apparently and kept closing out. Hey, there we go. Mike at it. Mike's best here. So, but that's what we got here for the easy money bets, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow as we go and play here. We got a lot of shows left up today. We will not be back. No show next week. No show next week. But we will be back for Super Bowl show, our special, probably 2-hour show in the end for that next week there. But as we go in the Super Bowl, we're going to talk about like the fun player props. We'll talk about the fun Super Bowl props on top of that. We'll talk about the game lines. We'll talk about everything coming into play. But no show next week, ladies and gentlemen, as we are entering Pro Bowl week. I'll be on a business trip meeting. And just don't anticipate it. But we'll have tons of bets for you come that next show before the Super Bowl.
One quick surprise bonus for you guys.
Oh,
I didn't bring up crypto on this whole show.
You did it. I'm impressed, actually.
Not only did I not talk about crypto, I did not talk about the national day for January 22nd, which is National Polka Dot Day. I'm pretty sure this has to do with clothing. It does not have to do with crypto, but if you're interested in crypto, I would recommend that you go out there and buy some polka dot if you're interested in crypto, because January 22nd is National Polka Dot Day. So get out there, boys and girls, buy your cryptocurrencies and have a heyday. I hope you can all get rich with the JG and whoever else is investing in crypto.
Starsky out here says, you'll give us your Super Bowl picks for the
for skins? For skins versus
Bills of Skins.
Oh.
Podcast.
Now, my knee-jerk reaction was definitely Skins versus Chiefs, but, that's just because I can't stand the word Commanders for a sports team just drives me insane.
We will, Starsky, if that comes to play.
The Bill, who does he got? Bills versus who?
He's at the Bills versus Skins. So,
ooh.
Yeah. Starsky, we will do it still. It'll still be a theme.
Hey, you know what?
We are not a podcast to shy away. By the way,
just for him, I haven't played that out yet on Tecmo Super Bowl. I haven't done Bills versus Skins, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it just for you, Starsky. I'm going to give you the final score of that game too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting out of here because we got best to place. We got news to talk, and quite frankly, to me, it's a Wednesday night, guys.
Executive producer's hammered, drunk right now, and can
barely
finish the show.
No. I can still talk for another hour.
And he's in denial.
Hey, you won today, baby.
Can barely finish the show, and he's in denial.
You won today, baby.
He's in denial about being hammered drunk.
I don't want to talk about college basketball with you.
Of course you do.
No, I don't.
In the month of March, when I start to give a damn,
yeah, March,
then I'll talk to you about it.
When you actually care. So, but ladies and gentlemen, we'll get out of here. Make sure you guys subscribe. This is Sports Buffoons here, and we're having some fun here. No, Mike might set to hop off early because he can't keep your internet connection. But we get the Chiefs Bills coming up this weekend here. It's a huge matchup, and we're excited for it. So, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow. Tell us in the comments, who do you think will win? What do you think about the Philadelphia Commanders matchup? And we'll go from there. We will catch you guys 2 weeks from now. We'll catch you.
Outro.
See you guys.